What would you do if your loved one left work one evening, promised to be home soon, but never walked through the door again? No goodbye, no warning, just vanished. Their car left behind, groceries sitting neatly inside, blood smears hinting at a struggle, and credit card transactions appearing in cities miles away. This isn't the plot of a crime movie. This is the real, bone-chilling story of Mary Shotwell Little, a young newlywed who disappeared under the strangest of circumstances in 1965. A case so bizarre and haunting that, even after decades, investigators are left with nothing but questions, and a family still waiting for answers. It was October 14th, 1965, in Atlanta, Georgia. Mary Shotwell Little was just 25 years old. She had been married for only 6 weeks to her husband, Roy, a young man she loved deeply. Friends described her as sweet, gentle, and dedicated. She was the kind of person who always looked put together, always smiling and full of life. That evening, she finished her shift as a secretary at Citizens and Southern Bank. Like any other night, she walked out of the office carrying her purse and car keys. She had plans to meet a close friend for dinner. They shared a meal, laughed, talked, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Around 8 p.m., Mary hugged her friend goodbye, walked across the brightly lit parking lot at Lenox Square Mall, and climbed into her light-colored Mercury Comet. That was the last confirmed time anyone saw her alive. When Mary didn't show up to work the next morning, her colleagues grew worried. This wasn't like her. She was dependable, punctual, and never failed to call. Investigators searched and quickly found her car, parked neatly in the Lenox Square Mall lot. At first glance, the vehicle looked normal, locked, untouched. But inside, a disturbing scene unfolded. Mary's purse was still inside. The groceries she had bought the night before were stacked neatly on the seat. Her underclothes were folded carefully, almost too carefully, and faint, chilling smears of blood stained parts of the interior. It was as if Mary had been interrupted mid-routine. Or worse, someone had staged the car to cover up what really happened. Just when police thought they had hit a dead end, something even stranger happened. A few days later, activity popped up on Mary's bank accounts and credit cards. Withdrawals were made in Charlotte, North Carolina, and later in Raleigh, cities hours away from Atlanta. Eyewitnesses at gas stations in those towns claimed they saw Mary with 2 men. She appeared calm, even polite, but something felt off. In one case, she reportedly told an attendant she was having car trouble. But here's the chilling detail. Was it really Mary? Or was someone impersonating her, using her as a pawn in a larger, darker scheme? The sightings gave investigators hope at first, but each lead fizzled out. No surveillance footage existed at the time. No solid proof was ever collected. It was October 14th, 1965, in the bustling city of Atlanta, Georgia. The fall air carried a crisp coolness, the kind that makes people wrap their coats a little tighter as they step out into the evening. The city was alive, traffic buzzing, shop windows glowing, families rushing home for dinner. It felt like any other ordinary Thursday night. But for 25-year-old Mary Shotwell Little, this night would be the last time anyone ever saw her safe. Mary wasn't just another young woman. She was someone whose life was just beginning to unfold. She was newly married, just 6 weeks into her fresh union with her husband Roy. Friends said the two were deeply in love, enjoying the bliss of early marriage, talking about their future, and dreaming about starting a family. Mary glowed with happiness, and those who knew her described her as gentle, kind, and someone who always put others first. She worked as a secretary at Citizens and Southern Bank, where she was admired for her dedication and warm spirit. Coworkers often mentioned how neatly dressed she was every day, her hair carefully styled, her demeanor calm and graceful. To everyone around her, Mary seemed like the picture of stability and promise. That Thursday evening, after leaving her office, Mary drove her light-colored Mercury Comet to Lenox Square Mall, a place that, at the time, was a symbol of Atlanta's growing modern lifestyle. Brightly lit, safe, and filled with shoppers, it wasn't the kind of place anyone thought danger would lurk. Mary had dinner plans with a close friend. The two shared a meal, laughed, and chatted about everyday things: work, family, and the joys of Mary's new marriage. There was no hint of trouble, no sign of fear. To her friend, it was just another ordinary evening with Mary, who was her usual warm and smiling self. After dinner, Mary walked back across the parking lot of Lenox Square. The night was calm, the area well lit, and plenty of people were still around. She carried her purse and keys, heading toward her car. Witnesses later confirmed seeing her. Nothing unusual, nothing alarming. Just a young woman ending her evening and preparing to head home to her husband. But here's where the ordinary ends, and the terrifying begins. Because from the moment Mary stepped into her car that night, she vanished into thin air. And the life that seemed so perfect, so full of love and hope, was suddenly interrupted by a darkness that no one saw coming. This expansion stretches the emotional weight of Mary's character, setting the perfect tone for suspense, while also extending the runtime to help you reach that 10-minute mark naturally. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into years, the investigation into Mary's disappearance slowly slipped into silence. The city of Atlanta moved on. New cases took over headlines, and Mary's name faded from the news. But for those who loved her, silence was unbearable. Her husband Roy never remarried, never stopped hoping that one day he might find the truth about what happened to his young bride. Imagine living with that kind of uncertainty. Married for only 6 weeks, then left with nothing but memories and questions that no one could answer. For Mary's parents, every ringing phone was a moment of dread and hope tangled together. Could it be Mary calling? Could it be news from the police? They held on to hope through birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays, but each year passed with no answers, no trace of their daughter. The silence wasn't just an absence of answers. It was a weight, a cruel reminder that someone somewhere knew the truth, but wasn't talking. And that silence, more than anything else, haunted them. The disappearance of Mary Shotwell Little is more than just another case. It's a haunting reminder of how fragile life really is. One ordinary night, one short walk to her car, and suddenly, everything changed. Her groceries were left behind, her undergarments folded neatly, her purse untouched, and faint smears of blood hinted at violence. Yet Mary herself was never seen again. What makes this case so deeply unsettling is not just the mystery itself, but the silence that followed. No body, no confession, no closure, only unanswered questions echoing through decades. Questions that her family carried to their graves. Questions that still keep investigators and true crime enthusiasts awake at night. Was Mary forced into a car by someone she didn't know? Was she betrayed by someone close, someone she trusted with her life? Were the strange sightings on the East Coast really her? Or just an elaborate deception meant to throw investigators off track? We may never truly know the answer. But here's the terrifying truth. If Mary could vanish so completely, so quietly, without a trace, it could happen to anyone. And maybe that's why her case lingers in our minds. Because her story is not just about one woman in 1965. It's about all of us. It's about how quickly the ordinary can become extraordinary. How a trip to buy groceries can turn into a one-way journey into darkness. So tonight, as you think about Mary Shotwell Little, I want you to ask yourself, what do you believe really happened to her? Was she abducted? Did she know her captors? Or was her disappearance part of something bigger? Something that still lurks in the shadows?